ladies, I want to welcome you to another episode of the Love Breakthrough Summit. Today is going to be super juicy. It's going to be super amazing. You're going to be so happy that you did not miss today, and you're going to want to watch it again. So be prepared, be prepared. I'm just saying, ladies, I'm just saying, be prepared. I love it when we have our men, our powerful, educated, masculine men on the summit to really help us understand what's going on with our relationships from the man point of view, and even just from the feminine point of view, especially when you're as powerful as Todd Malloy that we have on this summit today. He's going to be bringing it to us. He's going to be talking to us about emotional, mentally, about sexual healing. He's going to be helping us really understand the key ingredients to a love breakthrough. And you can't do that without healing emotionally, mentally, and sexually, right? And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. So this information is going to really, really help you to change your life and make the shifts necessary to really attract the love that you so desire. And guess what? I know you deserve, ladies. So we're going to get right in. We're going to welcome Todd to the summit. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Thank you for having me, Camille. I'm excited. I'm excited about what you're doing, and I appreciate you inviting me to be a part.
Yes, thank you so much for your time. So we're gonna first, I want to learn just a little bit more. So can you tell the ladies, how did you get started in this field of work, and then what do you really do that really helps women that are listening to the summit?
Well, it's been a lifetime journey. I got a few gray hairs, so I've been doing quite a few things. But at the end of the day, it all came together where I really understood that I wanted to be a part of the solution to life. I wanted it to matter that I live. So as a result of that journey, I went on to become a licensed marriage and family therapist, did advanced studies to become a certified sexuality educator, a certified sex therapist. And I also do a little teaching in regards to sexual education, sex therapy. Ultimately, it just boils down to I wanted to be a part of the solution to help give people the permission to be their most authentic self. Too often times we take on so many different personas, or we introduce our representative to people. I think we do ourselves a disservice when we do that, and we're actually cheating ourselves. So I wanted to be that partner that people could join with, couples and individuals, that we can process through the challenges of life. Those challenges are emotional distress. Those challenges are life crossroads, sexuality and intimacy, trauma, things of that nature. And subsequently, allowing them to be empowered to have a life worth celebrating. So all of those things coming together, understanding how fragile life is, just kind of motivated me and gave me a passion to do what I do, and I joyfully do as a way of life.
All of that is super juicy, and I think that's exactly what the ladies want to hear today. I mean, all of that. I can't even pick out just one thing, but before we get to the sexuality part, I want to really, something you said really touched my spirit, because it's where I work as well with women, and understanding why they may not show up authentic, or why they may show up with their representative instead of with who they truly are. So can we talk about that a little bit? Why do you think we show up with our representative and we really leave our true selves at home?
Right. Well, actually, my perspective is, as a society, we're traumatized people, not because we come from Beirut, Iraq, or war-torn country, but just the way society raises us. When you're a kid, you're supposed to be seen and not heard. Then when you get a little older, you think you can say some things. They say, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. Then they go to, then I become an adult and I'm working and all of these things. I can really say what I want to say. But if you're not politically correct, your socioeconomic situation will be challenged. But at what point does anyone say, connect to yourself and share your experience? Where are we really learning the tools to connect to self and to use our voice and know that it matters? Whether consciously or subconsciously, society is saying you have to go along to get along. If you watch media always telling you that you're not enough. If you're a size 1, you're perfect. If you're size 12, something's wrong. No, you were never built to be a size 1. You're supposed to be a size 12, and your best self is at size 12. But according to societal things and all the different things that are put on us, it tends to hinder our ability to hear our own voices, to trust our own truth, and move in our own knowing.
So how does a woman really free herself then? How does she become free enough to be her authentic self? Where does she start?
Well, again, it's part of the 6 ingredients, key ingredients that I highlighted. And it really starts from knowing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Freud said that he'd been doing a lot of work in regards to researching women and their sensuality. And the one question that hadn't been answered is, what do they want? I don't know that there's any one answer. I really believe the answer is unique to every woman, which requires her to do that self-exploration, to really identify what it is she wants.
Mm-hmm.
But before you really can know what it is you want, you really have to know who you are outside of the isms of life, outside of what has been pre-programmed for you to do, based on your cultural background, based on your religious backgrounds, based on just where you come from as a family. There's so many people putting on women in particular that you're supposed to be self-sacrificing, putting on women that you're supposed to pleasure and not be pleasured, that your private parts are private, but your private parts aren't supposed to be private from you. So women are taught to do personal self-exploration, body exploration, understanding how they want to be touched, validating their voice so that they can introduce people to who they are so that you can take good care of them. All the clothes you have on have directions on how best to care for them. But if a woman is not cultivated in using her voice and empowered that her voice matters, how will she ever be able to introduce herself to someone and teach that person how best to care for them? So I think it's just by societal design, and people like myself work towards empowering people to recognize their voice and trust their voice, that they allow themselves to be who they are.
Yeah, so you're a lot like me, right? We're kind of societal rebels and causing people to have a breakthrough, right?
Right,
A love
exactly.
breakthrough and break through some of this. What you describe, what I teach, I actually call it kind of a hypnotic rhythm. We're kind of in this hypnotic or human rhythm where we do what our parents did, and we don't question it. And like you said, we don't speak because we're not supposed to. And like you said, it's never really a good time to speak. And by the time we find our voice, we're not politically correct. And I know exactly what you mean, because I was one of those people. I've been in and out of kind of corporate America, and always had my own business because I never quite fit. I just don't fit with following along with what they want me to say and what they want me to be. Although I had the most knowledge in the areas that I worked in, they wanted me to be to be right under the person they wanted to make the highest one in the department, because they didn't want me to be the face, because I wasn't always politically correct, although I was right. So I had to step back. Sometimes we as women, we have to step back and really release some of the things from the world, even if it is corporate America or whatever it is that's blocking us from being our authentic self. And I think what you're saying is, if we don't fit, kind of let it go, or really at least do some exploration to find out who are we and what we really want.
I do it in a therapeutic setting daily. I come across women that they've been told that their hips are too wide, their lips are too big, their breast is too small, that go clean up after your brothers. Your brothers don't have to do laundry. Your brothers don't have to clean house. They don't have to make their beds up. That's why they have you.
Wow.
Just a number of things to where, and people fail to recognize the impact that has. And even though we may have feelings, I'm not going to turn into my parents, or the things that I learned of old aren't going to be my life. I find clients consistently living out old patterns. I had this particular persona, this particular behavior to survive this environment, my family of origin, the way that I grew up. However, even though I get older and bigger, I actually take that same mindset and follow it the same way, even though everything else around me is changing.
Mhm.
I keep a similar mindset. It may manifest differently, but once we do the homework and kind of process through it, we recognize that we're playing an old game in a new story.
Exactly. And that's so juicy, and here's why. Because the dating world and the dating scene and relationship scene has kind of changed, right? And so we can't really use those old techniques to attract the love that we deserve, which is why there's been an explosion in books and education around love and relationship and how to really navigate the dating world, right?
Oh yeah, very much so. And see, that's why the first ingredient of knowing yourself is so knowing what you want is important. But in order to know what you want, you really have to do exploration, which is the second ingredient, which is self-awareness. I really have to understand myself today as this individual. So as I define my womanhood, as I define my sexuality, is it relevant to today, or is it being played out based on what mama and daddy may have taught me? If mommy and daddy had challenges with their own personal growth and development, had an issue with their own sexuality, and they transferred that to me, am I really living like I want to live, or am I living as a pre-programmed script to someone else's story? Because 15, 20 years ago, they didn't have the resources that we have today. They didn't have technology like we have today. There wasn't a personal growth and development, enlightenment, awareness that we have today. So in order for us to be relevant, in order for us to be competent and maximize who we are and where we are, we have to embrace the things that are available to us today, how they impact us, and then make our choices and decisions based on that information. It's not that what people of old didn't give us wasn't valid, but we're supposed to build and grow on that and not accept that as a way of life. So as you define womanhood, or as a woman defines womanhood, I think that has to evolve based on the relationship you are and the stage of the relationship you are and where you are in life. Why is that? Because each of those things are changing. I came up with my definition of manhood before I left my house. So in the midst of me, watching John Wayne, hearing what the guys around me were saying at the barbershop and so forth. Okay, now I say, ta-da, I'm 18 years old, I'm a man, I'm 21, I'm a man. However, but when I grow to get involved in committed relationships, I really have to assess if that manifestation of manhood is appropriate for the relationship that I'm in, based on the person that I'm in relationship with. Because I have to know myself well enough to be able to talk to them, where she would share with me who she is. And then we're collaborating on how this needs to look for us, not based on old script or old history. So it's important that the woman knows who she is aware of who she is, has explored herself personally, sexually, such that now I can introduce to you who I am, and now you decide whether you want the real me or you want something else. Because I really only want who wants me.
Right. Oh, that's so juicy. You keep alluding to these 6 key ingredients.
Correct.
So I want to really talk to you about them, because I know people are probably saying, "What? He's only mentioned 2." So
Okay.
I want to
All
talk
right.
about, where did these key ingredients come from, and what are they? Let's kind of walk through them. I know we
Right.
mentioned 2 of them.
Right. Right. Well, my key ingredients really come from my collage of life. It comes from my academic learning, my professional learning, comes from my life experience. Obviously going to graduate school for psychology, licensed marriage and family therapy, and sex, things of that nature. You glean academically the information, research. However, I've lived life. I've lived long enough, been through enough to experience life. I've been disappointed. I've disappointed others, so forth. But through that process, really came up with those key ingredients because for love breakthrough, because I've had love breakthroughs, and I'm still having them. And even if it comes to a point of loving myself at this phase of life, because this is an evolutionary process. It does not ever stop, because sexuality will change for us, our body type will change, our appearance changes, and can we love and embrace ourselves throughout this process? And are we willing to not look external for validation, but internally for validation, such that the environment doesn't matter as long as I'm good with me?
You need to say that one more time, because that was super juicy. right? I say that all the time. You have no idea how excited I am to be sharing with a fellow colleague that is speaking about the same things that I constantly speak about. So I want you to repeat that again, because I'm so super excited to hear someone else say this.
Well, I just think it's very important that we learn to embrace our transformation of love, life, and beauty throughout the lifespan. It isn't for a moment in time.
Right.
But through that, we're not looking externally, but internally to embrace our true and authentic self, to be happy and pleased with what my offering is and what my appearance is. I laugh because my kids have teased me a lot about this. They say, Dad, you got a big head, little ears, and little eyes. And it doesn't. I said, yes, but guess what? For me, it works. And my head is so big because I got more brains than you. So I am uniquely designed to maximize who I am. And I challenge women the same way. Your body type, your voice, your expression, your eye location, all of these things are enhancements for you because you are unique and wonderful all by yourself. Mm-hmm. The best way to maximize who you are is to be who you are. That no one can beat you. No one can beat you at being who you are. Therefore, that internal embracing of self, that internal awareness will resonate energetically around you and transform your environment. Because see, if you can't accept who I am, that weeds off the riffraff. Right. Because I'm fully aware of who I am. So as I walk in who I am, it will either draw to me that match and repel others. Even if not, it gives me a litmus test and understanding of what I want and what I desire, mm-hmm. so that when you approach me, I know who need not apply.
Right. Right. That's amazing. So we've come. I hope you ladies are really taking notes, because this is super juicy. I always say that you have to do your inner work. Love and love breakthrough is an inside job. A lot of times in our society, as Todd's been mentioning, we work from the outside in. We try to please everybody and everything around us. We, as women, even try to please men. We try to become the woman we think they want us to be. But what they really want is to fall in love with a woman who is being herself.
Exactly.
And right. And then when that's aligned, so if you snort, or we say if you snort when you laugh, if you eat a lot, if you like to dance in the middle of the floor when music comes on, do your thing, because your guy will appreciate that, and he will feel that energy, and he will say, that's my girl. That will be the thing that draw you to him. But a lot of times we live a dumbed down version of ourselves, and we try to pretend or sit in a corner, and we don't really allow ourselves to let ourselves go and be who we are.
Exactly. And it's sad. It's sad for us. Can you imagine? And I work with couples, and I work with couples in they have 20 years together, 16 years together, 23 years together, and they really haven't actually truly introduced themselves to their partner, and wonder why their relationships aren't what they want them to be. And because throughout the relationship, you really have not been cultivating you as the individual and sharing your voice and trusting yourself and knowing yourself well enough to introduce it to your partner. So, throughout the relationship, I say too often times people are getting pieces and parts, but not a global person, not the full essence of who the person is. So how could someone appreciate you if you really haven't introduced yourself?
That's juicy. That's juicy. I usually tell women that the best time to introduce and reintroduce yourself is through date night. Use that. And I mean, there's other opportunities and platforms, and I'm sure you may have some recommendations, but I think that that's a perfect time, especially for those who are married, even if you've been dating for a while, to every time you go on your date, just reveal yourself a little bit more and don't be afraid to share. And sometimes you need to make sure you're still aligned, in your values, in your goal, and in your vision for life and for your relationship. Because a lot of times women meet men, and sometimes they say they're in the relationship, but women don't pay attention to the fact that they are dropping off. They're not calling as much, not taking them out as much. They're not as available enough. And she begins to make excuses for him why he's not available, instead of paying attention to the shift in the relationship. And then let's talk about the elephant on the table to see if we're both in the same spot, right?
Right, because what oftentimes I find women internal, when something goes wrong with the relationship, they immediately internalize it
Realize it.
and then say, what have I done wrong? What's wrong with me? No, there's nothing wrong with you. Something's going on, something shifted. And the key is to ask what that is. Now, I agree with you in regards to date nights, frequent date nights. I agree with you on having those schedules, set times, whatever they may look like. But one of the key ingredients, but something I'll talk about quite often, is being present, honest, sincere in every moment. If we can live a life where I am open and honest with you in every breath, I am consistently polishing the rock to smooth it for success. That means that too often times we often have the second conversation. Okay, here someone said something to us. So as opposed to sharing our experience, what we do is we take an experience and we process it through our brain and we give them an output. And then they respond to the output, but not fully understanding the underpinning. Because, we'll have a thought in our mind, but we'll explain why we don't need to say it that way. We need to say something else. We have to make it politically correct. Or, I just won't say anything because I don't want to start an argument. I don't want to start a fight.
Well, I'm afraid of losing him.
Right, exactly. But my point is, if you're not willing to fight for the relationship, if you're not willing to fight for the relationship, you're actually eroding the relationship. If I am not willing to say, hey, hold on, something doesn't fit, I'm not comfortable. How do we move past this? How do we move this barrier that just fell before us so we can still see each other clearly? But if I let this barrier fall in front, then this barrier fall in front, this barrier fall in front, and then about 10 barriers in front, then I want to talk. Well, now the whole situation escalates. The person you're talking to is saying, why is the argument so, I only didn't say thank you. But now you're saying I haven't been any good for 10 years. Hold on. You just said you liked me yesterday. So now they're invalidating your conversation. As opposed to incrementally, every time something shows up, I bring it to your attention. This is not whining, being in that. Hey, help me understand, because you're owning your experience. Hey, we've been doing real well. I've been vibing with you. Something just happened, not understanding what shifted, but now all of a sudden, I don't feel the love that I felt yesterday. What's going on? Because it may have nothing to do with you.
Right.
It may have to do with what they're experiencing, but then them hearing that and they don't feel like they're being judged or put in a corner, you're more asking them information. I'm asking you to be a helper to help me understand what's going on. By putting your partner in a position to be a helper, they're more inclined to say, hey, this is what's going on with me. Or, hey, I really haven't processed it yet, so give me a few minutes. But by doing that, now takes the hook off you. Now you don't internalize it. Right. No, this ain't got nothing to do with me, because I know I ain't done nothing wrong to you, because I ain't seen you all day. But now it allows you to move on, but continues to foster communication, but also hoping that your partner reciprocates that, is that we're continuously sharing information like a closed loop system, like turning the lights on, turning the lights off. As long as we're communicating on a consistent basis, the lights are always on, I can always see you. The moment I stop, the lights are off, and it challenges me to see you and appreciate you for all that you bring to the table.
So it sounds like we're shifting into your third key a little bit. And you can tell me your third key ingredient. The first one I want to make clear for the ladies, because I kind of jumped around a little bit. But key number one was knowing what you want, right? So these are the
Correct.
Right. So these are the key ingredients. These are the key ingredients that we need to create our breakthrough, right? And so the first one is knowing what you want. And then the second one was self-awareness.
Correct.
And the third one, it has something to do with unweaving the tapestry of old. And that's kind of what I hear you saying, not kind of settling for the status quo and the way things always are, but to really open up. You want to talk about that a little bit more?
What it is that I believe that as we're going through life, we're creating a story. We're developing this tapestry, and it has pretty bright colors and shapes and designs. But all those colors, shapes, and designs are based on the information of old. those from family of origin, from society, etc.
Mm-hmm.
However, but in our adult selves, and as we're moving along the process, we have to really understand, are these things really relevant to us? Is this story, how I see it, really my truth today?
Mm-hmm.
Now, with that, it's very difficult to just say, okay, I thought one thing yesterday, now I'm going to think something today. For example, I have a client that a very attractive woman, and she's always been taught to enhance her beauty. They put her in pageants, they did all of these things. However, then as she got older, and she's looking around the room with other pageant people or beautiful people, she's saying, there's more to me than this.
Mm-hmm.
But she actually didn't know what that was, because all she was bred to be was an external person. Hey, it's what I look like on the surface. So in the process of that, most of the thoughts she had was, when I get dressed, I have to look like this. When I do this, I have to smile. I have to smile. I have to do this. I have to be on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, as she became more of an awareness, it's like, no, I can actually relax.
Mm-hmm.
Now I can be, but now why am I making these choices and decisions? Why am I dating him?
Mm-hmm.
Because we look like Ken and Barbie? Or does he really do for me what intrinsically I need for myself? And does he create for me an experience where I can love myself, love him, and cultivate and explore together, that we have shared views and vision?
Mm-hmm.
Now, in making that transformation, she shared with me that it had a visceral effect. She said, I became nauseous, just using my voice, challenging my thoughts, asking myself why. To unweave this old habit of just the routine that we go through, and to create new thought pathways, to create new behaviors and patterns, and also wrestle with the people around her that said, hey, you're so beautiful, you should model, you should do this, you should do that. She said, actually, I just want to be an optometrist. You're 6'2", you're 120 pounds, you're perfectly formed. Why would you want to be an optometrist? Because that's really just what I want to do. So through that is willing to go against the grain.
Mm-hmm.
And going against the grain is unweaving that tapestry, which leads to the fourth key, which is learning to be comfortable in the uncomfortable. That means that I have to be willing to make other people uncomfortable, that I'm comfortable. I have to be willing to have the hard conversations. I have clients, women, that have vaginal pain during sex. For 8 years, this woman cringes every time she has sex with her husband. She told me that she's having vaginal pain, and we work towards that to address that. But for 8 years, she's married to a guy and doesn't believe she can tell him that she's having vaginal pain during sex. That she's, to some degree, a large degree, I hear a lot of clients faking it, but in her mind, judging, please let this be over. And I'm looking at them, I'm saying, how is it that you find that okay? Mm-hmm. Where were you taught that you don't matter, even with your own body, even with your own sexuality? And to validate using your voice and sharing, and be willing to damage his ego, bruise his ego for the sake of a long-term relationship of the healthiest form.
The fear of loss.
Right, but my question is the fear of loss greater than your own happiness and joy? Should it really be?
Absolutely not.
If I can't be my authentic self with you, should I actually be with you? If I can't position myself to experience my greatest joy with you, should I be with you? You can do bad by yourself.
Yes.
You need people that help you be bad. You don't need people that help you be uncomfortable. That can be achieved without anybody around. So if I'm going to share my life with someone, why not share it in a manner of which brings me the greatest joy? And holding myself accountable for creating an environment will do that. And holding myself accountable means learning myself, be willing to have the difficult conversations with my partner, because it's about the ulterior motive. The ulterior motive is not to destroy, but to build, but to enhance, but to strengthen. And if this is uncomfortable for you, I have to question whether you actually belong in my life or not.
Absolutely. Right. So if the man can't help you become the best version of yourself, and he's actually causing you to hide, and you don't feel like
No.
you have that openness and that connection, and you can be vulnerable, and that he will actually receive you, right? So this is where a man has to really, I always say that my ideal man would love God more than he loves me. And he
Mhm.
would love me more than he loves himself. And so the correct order is God, himself. No, God, me, and then himself. And
Mhm.
so if I'm coming to you with something then that's hurting me, bothering me, you should have enough love for me to receive me and my feelings so that you can help be the solution and help make things better for us.
Receive me, love me, not just in my beauty,
Right.
but even in my dark places.
Yes. Yes. Love me with all my ish.
Exactly. Exactly. You know,
Yes.
I've come across a number of women, varying genders, ethnicities, etc., body types, shapes. And my personal opinion is every woman has beauty.
Hmm.
Beauty is not relegated to a small group of people. It's at which point you maximize who you are, you're beautiful.
Right. But the thing is that she has to believe in her own beauty, and somewhere, somehow, in the fabric of her life, in her old tapestry, she wasn't taught that she was beautiful, right?
Correct. Correct.
Was not
Correct.
taught that just the way she is was
Mhm.
beautiful, no matter what culture. I have women in this summit and in my programs that are from all walks of life and
Mhm.
all different races, and I even look even at the Asian race. It wasn't until, I don't know, some of the new little um, kiddie movies that are coming out now featuring the Latino race or the Asian race as the hero or the little, fun little per character in the movie now. And it's just up till now that we're celebrating all these cultures, even the African American culture with it's okay to have short, kinky hair. We were taught that, we needed to have long, curly, voluptuous hair to be beautiful, and not to appreciate the long, the short, maybe tight curl that's in our hair.
Right.
Right.
Right. So, and with all of that, I come across a lot of women that are gorgeous, but
Mm-hmm.
have been so broken because their male partners, their partners will say that, well, I married you a size 8, now you're a size 10. That wow, your backside's a little bigger than I would hope it to be, so the terrain has changed. So, say some of the most hurtful things. And you have to wonder sometime what's going on with the woman that isn't challenging that perspective or commanding a higher level of respect or value of herself. And it's not so much for now you to be a bully or be offended, but really begin to internalize, hey, what's going on with me that he thinks that's okay? How have I presented myself in this relationship that this person feels that they can talk to me in this manner? And
Let's
how do I correct it?
and let's take that a step back, Todd. How
Hmm.
did I even select a gentleman or a guy
Hmm.
that's that way, that didn't love me for me, and I didn't pick it up that he didn't love me for me? He only loved me perhaps because I was a size 8 and very
His ideal of me, not actually me.
absolutely right, and not realizing that in a couple of years and a couple of babies I might not have this size 8 figure. Now women are getting surgeries and they're getting stuff, and actually now they're having to get some of their butt and stuff taken out because their legs are not strong enough to handle it. I'm like, oh my God, right? So they're looking for this ideal woman instead of just the pure woman that's inside.
Exactly. And embracing all of who she is. There's a religious adage, a man finds a treasure in the land and goes back and buys the whole land.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not just coming for your treasure, I'm coming for all of what you bring to the table. Because your treasure is enough. Your
That's
treasure, I place value on such that the rest of the land is still considered beautiful. I find value in that.
I got chills with that. I mean, that was so, I mean, I literally got chills. It was like, whoo, okay. Let's that was really deep, because when you're thinking on that level, and you really are just buying all that's there, and you're committed to that person for all that they are, not what you want them to be, not what you want to change them to be, and not that you want to criticize them to make yourself better, but you're really just accepting them for who they are, and you're willing to build and allow that love to grow.
Correct. Very, very much so. And in that process of weaving that tapestry, in that process of finding yourself, it is uncomfortable. We're afraid of the unknown.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
yeah. And at times that fear causes us to be stuck. Mm-hmm. But at some point in life, you're going to have to want yourself enough, love you enough to fight for you. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We fight for so many things. But when do we stop to say, particularly women, I'm going to fight for myself, that I'm going to fight for my sensuality, I'm going to fight for my voice, I'm valuable. I'm no longer going to diminish myself, because if I diminish myself, I give the people around me permission to diminish me. If I don't see my full value and walk in my full value, how can anyone else value me? That's why in the first key, I say, know what you want. But in order to know what you want, to a degree, you have to be what it is you want. Research shows opposites don't attract. The research says similars attract. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So if I don't allow myself to grow and be healed, I'm going to connect to a fractured, broken person, just like I'm fractured and broken.
And that's so true, right? Like attract likes, and
correct.
We say that relationships are a mirror to who we are. And
correct.
So if you are broken, if you are, you're not healed, right? That's correct. Why I think I got the name somehow, the Healthy Love Coach, is because it's all about healing you first. And if you don't heal yourself first, you won't be able to have a healthy relationship. And that sets an amazing precedent for what this whole summit is all about, in creating a love breakthrough. Fighting for your breakthrough, right? You may have been in a relationship where you were not honored, right? You might have been raised by parents who didn't set the right example. You might have gone through traumatic situations that caused you to be broken. But ladies, the one thing you have to do is fight for your breakthrough. And that's what we're talking about.
Correct. And that's the being comfortable in the uncomfortable.
Right. And so does that lead us into, so that was number 4, being comfortable with the uncomfortable. And then now the next step in that process is weaving new tapestry, right? So after we create this love breakthrough, now, we're looking at this thing that we didn't know that we needed to address. Most of the women that are joining this summit had no idea that they had some things going on. They needed to develop self-awareness. They needed to unweave some of that old thinking and that old mental tape, or that inner conversation that was going on, right, with them. They didn't realize that it was causing them to behave in a certain way or blocking them from having healthy relationships. But now we're challenging them to become comfortable with the uncomfortable and face what's going on in your life. That's the only way we can erase it, right? That's the only way we can really change it, is by really looking at ourselves in the mirror, not with more judgment, but with a view to understanding who we are and healing ourselves, and now moving to the step of weaving new tapestry.
Exactly. Weaving that new tapestry, again, to your point, once we've unweaved and we're learning to be comfortable in the uncomfortable, now we're beginning to find our truth. Now we're really finding our relevant, competent, now puzzle pieces that we can put together to create our current story and our future.
Right.
So now I know who I am. Now I truly know what I want. I know what I like. I know what I enjoy. I know how I want to be held. I know how I want to be kissed. I know what I want to be experienced, and I know what it looks like in my life. I know when I feel it, I have power in my voice now to say, hey, in making love to me, you just can't jump on.
Mhm.
To love me means to make love to me for 24 hours first before you touch me. That means good morning and the kiss on the forehead. That means
Make love to my mind before you
come
move
on,
to
talk to me,
my body.
because intimacy is neck up, not waist down.
Absolutely.
Right. So by picking up laundry or groceries and chatting with me throughout the day via text or whatever the case may be, holding my hand, asking me about my day. So by the time later on in the day, you don't even have to ask me, sir, because I'm all over you.
Right. So a
Now,
lot of people think that foreplay is just the physical touching, licking,
no,
whatever. But
no,
it's
no.
all the things that you're talking about, that
Right.
emotional foreplay of making love to your mind before you even get to my
Right.
body.
Yeah, people fail to recognize the largest sex organ is the skin. So
Yes.
now, so that means from head to toe. Intimacy is touching from my head all the way down to my toe, mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
And at which point we begin to really understand it that way and really pursue it from that perspective, we do ourselves and our partners a disservice. Talk to me. Let me know that we share similar visions. Let me know that you've heard me.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and then once we do physically touch, you're not on a mission, a goal-oriented mission. This is an exploration. This is an experience,
Mm-hmm.
not an assignment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So in that assignment I know now that I don't like when you lick me on the ear. So in this new tapestry we've weaved, I'm sharing with you what my equation is to my body. It's the forehead kiss. It's right here on the shoulder blade. Now you can touch my breast, but not first.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably 6, 7, 15 down the line.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sitting with you through those dinner dates. We're talking about our equations. We're sharing dreams. We're sharing fantasy. I'm sharing my vision such that now you can help me cultivate my vision, whether it be in the home or whether it be in the boardroom. We can share collectively and have a reciprocating relationship, because now we have openness, we have transparency, we have vulnerability, we have safety, because I know myself well enough, like the instructions you have on clothes, I know myself well enough to share that information with you that you have best care. So no, when you met me, you thought I was lead crystal, but no, let me explain to you, no, I'm a fine china today.
Right.
And this is how fine china is cared for.
And it's very important for you to be empowered to do these things, ladies, because this is really how you create that authentic relationship. We see pictures of people on social media. A lot of times people are not truly happy. They're just posting pictures and you don't know
Correct.
what's going on inside
Correct.
their home. But what we're talking to you about here is to really have a true love breakthrough and really have pure happiness. And to Todd's point, even in my own relationship, there was some things when I met my husband. I mean, number one, we're from two different coasts. People are people. He's from California. I'm from New Jersey, right? So we just got this cultural difference, right? Over there, the women just pour over the man, and over here, the men pour over the woman, right? It's a little bit different. And he had to teach me how he likes to be loved and touched and feel. And I was like, dude, that's arrogant. How dare you? You don't like what I'm bringing and what I'm doing? So it made me feel like something I was doing was wrong. But, and I got angry. I'm like, well, you're not going to get anything from me. But I had to realize but that's what he likes and he needs to get the enjoyment out of it. And then when, we got into the flow of our relationship, I started realizing, you know what? I don't like that way. And can you just, maybe if we just try shifting it a little bit and changing it this to that. And I don't this is not really a sex summit, so I don't want to go too deep on the, giving you too much visual, but, and when he made those shifts, I know for me, especially as a woman, like you said, most women fake it, but it really helped me to have a more natural orgasm because he was really pleasing me in the way that my body, my spirit needed to be pleased. And everybody knows his name that lives around us, right?
Right. No, and see, you're making a point. First and foremost, let me share with you. I recognize this is not a sex summit.
Yeah.
However, but sexuality is a window to knowing who the person is. It's not a separate entity.
Right.
Actually, what it is how I feel of myself sexually and how it's even played out gives a therapist like myself and others an indication of your global self, not just that piece to a puzzle. And what I'm hearing is like the old tapestry. The old tapestry is previous relationships, being in New Jersey with New Jersey people. Now all of a sudden I meet somebody from California trying to have a New Jersey mindset.
Right.
Now that New Jersey mindset doesn't work in this new situation. So I could force this situation where he would not have been my husband and I would not have been his wife if we're going to try to force our histories in a new situation. As opposed to, no, what we're going to do is we're going to be uncomfortable in the uncomfortable and glean and wrestle through what we need to wrestle through, such that we create this new tapestry that's present, that's in the now, that really reflects both of us, not our histories that did not include us.
Right. And what made that so critical, Todd, is what I share with my husband. And I'm going to share this. I haven't shared this with my community, I don't think, ever, but buckle up, ladies. And so, I'll be 50 in March, and I've been married to my husband for 4 years. I've known him for 6. And I have to tell you, in all of my 50 years, I was married for 17 years ago to my previous husband. I have never had a natural orgasm before. I was faking it too. I was saying, hurry up, get done, come, please, just let this stop, because a lot of men feel like, that's your orgasm. If you didn't get it, that's your problem. I got mine. If you didn't get yours, too bad. And I never was able to reach that point. But with my husband, it's like, there's not a time that I don't reach that point. And it's natural. It's not faked. It's welcome. I'm excited. I think about him now, and I think about him and my body starts to tingle. I'm like, oh, I'm getting ready. I'm excited. I can't wait till you get home. And the orgasm is already starting before he even says anything to me now, because we created that. We weaved new tapestry. We didn't hold on to that old stuff. Exactly. But we allowed ourselves to really get to know each other where we are now. We honored what we needed from each other.
You were willing to be open. You were willing to be transparent and vulnerable with them. You were willing to authenticate your own voice and express that. So now you're truly opening yourself to receive everything that he has available to you. You're preparing a fertile ground to receive the love you want. But until you actually are aware of yourself, know what your wants, desires are, and willing to use your own voice, validate your voice, and share your truth, those things are not available to you. Right. Through your maturing process, you recognize the experiences that you want to have and recognize your responsibility, holding yourself accountable for your piece to the equation. I was always taught everybody owns their own orgasm. It's not for a man to give a woman an orgasm or for a woman to give a man. It's for each of us to understand our bodies well enough to teach each other how these things are done, so that we can collectively have the greatest experience. And what you just shared is a perfect example of that.
Yeah. I wish I knew you about 30 years ago, though. It would have saved me a lot of learning. But so there's some young women and middle-aged women, and I have to say that I attract a lot of women in my communities that are very successful and powerful, and they are still chaste, they are still virgins, and they're still waiting for their Mr. Right. And so this information is very relevant, especially for those who have not had sexual encounters or many sexual encounters, or really have not explored yourself. I'm afraid to ask you because it's in initials, and I don't know if you touched on it yet, but what is number 6? It's PHSE.
Right. PHSE this is a perfect segment to that. It's present, honest, sincere in every moment.
Okay.
That means that we are willing to share of ourselves to our partner, such that we get a real litmus test about what's going on in life and in our moment, such that we can stay connected and in loving relationship. For example, the best way to explain this is with your husband. We'll use you as an example. Hey, I'm not comfortable with you not pursuing me. It seems as though I always have to be the initiator in sex or initiator in love, and that makes me uncomfortable. So help me understand why I feel this way. And then now the person doesn't feel like they're judged. The person does not feel as though they're under attack, because basically you're asking them to be a helper.
Mm-hmm.
I'm having an experience with you which is contrary to what I want to feel with you.
Right.
Help me understand how I can get it back on track. So, but I have to be present to my experience. I have to be honest with myself about what I'm experiencing and sincere in my delivery each time we're together. Let me level set my emotion with you. Should I feel this way or not, based on the dynamics of what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
Then once you level set, like, hey, I'm in the right place or the wrong place, now we talk and we level set so we have the same conversation. Too oftentimes, even in therapeutic settings, I hear one person speak, another person respond. I say, stop. What did you hear the person say?
Mm-hmm.
But in the midst of hearing them, they actually miss the whole conversation.
Right.
So what I often do, with present, honest, sincere in every moment, is share your experience with your partner, i.e. in the sake of explanation and narrowing it down some. I ask people, have you ever made good love? I said, when you make good love, you ain't even got to talk about it. Everybody just roll like they're supposed to roll, and everybody just knows what the vibe is. Everything clicks. I say, now what I'm asking you to do about present, honest, sincere in every moment, to do it with your clothes on.
Right. Absolutely.
Is to share your experience, be energetically connected. That means this is the energy that I have right now. Is this the energy that's in the right space? I.e., when we talked about your husband, hey, this is where I'm at. And he'll say, well, I was always, the reason I'm waiting for you to pursue me, or the way that I'm looking for you to be initiated, because that's my history. That's what I'm used to.
Right.
Where I'm from in California, they'll say, well, hey, I didn't understand that. However, it's nice that you come from California, you want this, but let me share something about me. I like to feel pursued.
Right.
Me being a woman in my mindset says, hey, but when I know you're pursuing me, my desire to pursue you is easy. Because I recognize that there's a shared value here. It's not just one-sided. Because when you pursue me, I know that you want me. I know that you desire to me. It makes me feel connected. But when you're waiting for me, I start to not feel good. And as a man, as your partner, he said, hold on. Because every man has a litmus test of his own manhood and what it looks like and what he wants to bring to the table when he wants to offer his partner. And no man says, I want to get with this woman to make her miserable, make her unhappy, and I feel wanted and desired. So the moment she begins to share that, it causes him to say, hold on, time out. I don't want you to feel that way. Let me share with you my perspective, but now let me adjust it, because I want my actions and behaviors to reflect that I desire you, because I do. So now what you did was help him match his words to his actions, just by sharing your truth and willing to be vulnerable, transparent, and honest, present, honest, sincere in every moment. That fosters that continues to cultivate that love breakthrough that you found with this new person. Does that make sense?
100%. I think this was a fabulous way to get our Love Breakthrough Summit on the way. This has been super.
Excellent.
I feel like we need a part 2.
Excellent. Thank you. I'm available.
Okay, I might be calling you for part 2. So this has been super, 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 super amazing. I think that, why don't you tell us about your free gift that you're offering the audience before we get out of here?
Well, I do have a gift. I've all co-authored with Dr. Andrea Pennington.
Who was also on the summit.
Yes, right. A Time to Rise. And that I am one of the, authors. Again, the book is about transformation. It's soul-stirring stories of 29 different individuals that have journeyed through their own personal growth and development and professional transformation, that we're hoping and we believe will help people find their purpose and help them live their best lives. So I am also a co-author of that. So please feel free to go anywhere they're selling books, or also on my website. And that's one of the most recent projects that I've released recently.
That is so amazing. And we thank you so much for sharing everything that you've said here today to really help us really understand what we're talking about here and how to create your love breakthrough. Ladies, what I'm going to ask you to do is, if you can please, please, please share this summit. Well, first of all, I want you to click on the link below the video. Make sure you take advantage of Todd's gift. It's a real generous gift, so please take advantage of that. And I want you to also show your gratitude by sharing the summit. This is going to be such a juicy summit. We're going to go deep. Every single speaker that's going to be on this summit is going to share their deepest knowledge, insight, and experience just to help you create your own personal love breakthrough. And I don't want you to miss a day, ladies. And please, if you need to go back, get some paper and pen and make sure you take some notes, listen to it again. I thank you so much for being here, Todd. I could talk to you all day. I know we're running out of time and we got to get out of here. But again, thank you so, so much for being here.
Oh, thank you for the opportunity. And I look forward to future collaborations.
Yes, sir. Well, I wish you love, Todd. And I wish you all ladies love. Bye, ladies. See you tomorrow. Take care.